Texas A&M most assuredly does not want to get caught. Johnny Manziel's signature on a helmet in a silver Sharpie with the Heisman inscription and the certification sticker of a company that does nothing but authenticate sports autographs may only cost you around $500, but it could cost the school everything it has football-wise, and more pressingly, everything it could get starting with this Saturday's game against Rice. Because if Manziel plays and then a whole box of autographed Johnny footballs turns up, those only cost about $180 each on eBay, authenticated. And along with them, there's some check dated 2013 made out to Manziel with another Manziel autograph on the back. A&M's 2013 is finished. Lose the victories, refund the money, give back the glory. And oh, by the way, A&M also has a code of conduct. This is a school that until the 1960s had a mandatory on-campus corps of cadets. Part of that vestigial military school-style code is apparently having a disembodied voice, presumably that of an unspecified deity, explaining that just like the freshmen on football teams, as Manziel was last year, that they can't do interviews. From now on, at school news conferences designed to allow reporters to ask questions about the news, like today's news conference at which reporters were expected to ask questions about the news, there will be no questions about the news.
In the best interest of Texas A&M and the 100-plus student athletes on the team, I have instructed Coach Sumlin, his staff, and our student athletes to refrain from commenting on or answering questions regarding the status of our starting quarterback, Johnny Manziel. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Sumlin for opening comment.
Thanks, the Almighty. Actually, the words are those of University Athletics Director Eric Hyman, and he's not a deity unless A&M wins. Anyway, as this news conference is happening, there are like 9 stories breaking around the Manziel investigation summary. The NCAA seems to be hinting it's going to clear him after he met for 5.5 or maybe 6 hours with the NCAA on Sunday. He showed them his checkbook or his receipts, or he explained how his great-grandfather founded the all business in Texas and he didn't need the money, and there was a lot of fake Johnny Manziel stuff out there anyway, like his IDs. But I digress. At that news conference today, everybody tried to get something said and trusted to our Mark Schwartz, who, when he was a freshman, was my trainee at WVBR Radio at Cornell, and I did not pay him a dime. Leave it to Mark to take a tack that Coach Sumlin could not completely avoid.
My question was about the code of honor and whether the code of honor sort of has everything to do with how that decision will be made.
I can't talk about how that decision is going to be made. The things that are going on internally right now are different than the perception that's outside. And I'm very, very pleased with how our players have handled it. I'm pleased how our coaches have handled it. And I think more than anything else, they're looking forward to playing football Saturday at noon.
And by the way, none of the footballs used Saturday at noon will be the Johnny Manziel autographed edition. Nor will they specially be imprinted to note that Coach Sumlin has gotten $1 million raise since Johnny Manziel won the Heisman. Nor will they carry a sponsorship of any kind by the law firm of Lightfoot, Franklin, and White, which has now taken up Manziel's case, which previously got Cam Newton's father, and thus Cam Newton himself, cleared of soliciting a $180,000 bribe from Mississippi State boosters to try to get Newton to play there. Nor will there be stitched into the footballs these Texas laws. Section 131.004 of the Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code, which makes it possible for A&M to sue anybody whose testimony lets the NCAA punish the school for a rules violation. Anybody like, a guy who paid a quarterback for autographs. Nor will the footballs bear a picture of the construction site at the enlargement of A&M's Kyle Field, which, as Wright Thompson correctly noted in ESPN the magazine, quote, will essentially serve one purpose: to display Johnny's Heisman for recruits. That's what he brought the school. Thompson also noted that over the summer, Manziel's parents got him to go to a therapist who told him to build protective walls around himself. And with remarkable foresight, he told him to limit how many autographs he signed at the behest of his parents and to get off Twitter, which Manziel did, but not until after that one about getting out of College Station. It's the thought that counts. In fact, it is the thought that counts. What is the purpose of, what is the thought behind big-time college football? It may very well be that Johnny football is the modern embodiment of the simple truth hidden by a complex interwoven mesh of rationalizations and bullcrap in College Station and 100 other college stations, aided and abetted by every booster and every newspaper and every network. I mean, read the New York Times today about us and every fan. The simple truth is, There isn't any such thing as, quote, college, unquote, football. Yes, outside Division I, some of the schools of the Ivy League, maybe at Mount Union, the D3 champ, there's some college in the equation. But what we cover and what you watch from East Lansing to College Station to Pasadena, that is college pro football. It's a professional sport. It operates to print money. Its first or second most marketable asset is paid at the level of and as inconsistently as summer interns. And the only compensation the sport has to give them is a college education, which most of them don't want, and conveniently the governing bodies no longer require them to pursue. It's college pro football. And as long as we're going to pretend it isn't, and after 45 years of watching it, I'll be damned if I know why we still pretend it isn't, why we can't let Johnny Manziel sign autographs to make a little money instead of just signing autographs so other people can make a lot of money. As long as we pretend it isn't, there will always be a Johnny Football, there will always be a law firm of Lightfoot, Franklin, and White, and there will always be the nail-biting over whether or not his school might get caught and punished, not because he or they did something wrong, but because he or they did something wrong and didn't get away with it. And if you think it all goes away because the NCAA might clear Manziel as early as tomorrow, sleep on it overnight and consider this. What if the hot and cold running hypocrisy of college pro football is part of the bullcrap Johnny Manziel wants to get away from? What if at 19, his sense of right and wrong is better developed even than his view of the playing field? What if he wakes up tomorrow morning and every morning, or merely one morning out of 100, with his guts in a knot over an amateur sport in which he wins the trophy and his boss gets the million? What if Johnny Manziel has a conscience? Come back to me in the morning and tell me about how this A&M stuff is all over. Because the postman always does ring twice. Oh, and honesty in college pro football, they are never, ever, ever getting back together.